A heavy amount of snow make its way into the Halifax area. You picked up 19 centimeters of snow. It was even higher around Sandy Point, Shelburne, where you picked up over 40 centimeters. So now we're talking about the next one. And we do have snow already moving into New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI. You're going to get into it as well through the morning commute, and it will be quite heavy for some. Now, there is going to be an area of Nova Scotia that starts to see a change over to the pink. That's freezing rain and ice pellets, and then over to rain as well. So freezing rain across the south, the heavy snow. Newfoundland, you get into it tonight through tomorrow, and that'll be a heavy swath of snow changing over to prolonged freezing rain. We could be talking about 4 to 6 hours of freezing rain in St. John's over towards the interior. But Maritime provinces, you're being hit today with 10 to 20 centimeters through the Bay of Fundy, 10 to 20 centimeters of snow for Yarmouth and Halifax. But of course, you also have that changeover to rain, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain for you there. So the problem with this is we've got the heavy piles of snow from the last storm. Then we're going to get the rain. Certainly some flood concerns alive and well. We'll watch out for some potential school closures in Nova Scotia and PEI, New Brunswick, March break for the kids. So that's good news there. Freezing rain and ice pellets marked in pink, and Newfoundland really is going to get the brunt of the freezing rain with this event again through tomorrow, so we expect some travel delays for you then. Winds also an issue, gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour or higher for Cape Breton. Newfoundland, you're going to see gusts between 60 to 70 kilometers an hour through tomorrow. Meanwhile, the story in Ontario is going to be the cold for you. It is frigid, below average. Usually the average high in Toronto is about 3 degrees. We're nowhere near that. We stay in the cold air for the rest of the week. Now, and while you can see things starting to get cleared up, we're getting messy once again, and that's why we're in storm watch. We've got wind warnings, snowfall warnings, rainfall warnings as well, so a blanket of warnings covering you in the east. It's already hit you in the Maritime provinces. For Newfoundland, you're going to feel the effects through tomorrow. And note, St. John's, you're in a freezing rain warning. We've got the blowing snow advisories too. So it's already started to pick up in intensity through the Bay of Fundy. That's going to be where we see some of our highest snowfall rates. And while we've started off with snow in Yarmouth and Halifax, you are going to change over to freezing rain as well as rain. So note, there's the freezing rain. You start to get those greens into the afternoon hours. That will be the rain coming in. Cape Breton also going to see that mix. And then Newfoundland, you're getting the snow to start and then a changeover to a good 4 to possibly 5 hours or 6 hours of freezing rain through the Avalon and parts of the interior as well. So when we start to see the rain change to snow and then back and forth, how does that all happen? Let's find out. All right, so we're going to have a good amount of snow hitting you in the Maritime provinces, but we're also going to see that rain, a good 10 to 20 millimeters for Yarmouth, Halifax, and the Avalon 5 to 10, but also note the freezing rain and ice pellets in the pink. So Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, as well as parts of Newfoundland being hit with that. By and large, New Brunswick, you are staying as snow. Now, the winds also strong. It's going to be blowing snow around Burgeo over towards St. Lawrence through tomorrow. And as far as Ontario goes, well, your story is the cold. This morning feels like minus 20 in Toronto. And guess what? The cold sticks around through the week. So during the mornings, you're really going to feel it across Ontario as well as Quebec this week.
Hey there, good morning and welcome to the Weather Network on this Monday, March the 4th. I'm Michelle Mackey. So good to be back with you here at the Weather Network. I'm so used to being outside, but I've got to tell you, as a reporter, I love being inside on days like today, especially when we have yet another extreme cold warning that's been issued by the City of Toronto. If you can stay with us in 10 minutes, we'll break down the difference between the City of Toronto's warnings and Environment Canada's warnings. But what you need to know, this is the 24th warning that we have had so far this year. And for good reason. As we look to this morning, temperature-wise, it is feeling close to minus 20. Into this afternoon, there is not much in the way of reprieve. We are still feeling those biting wind chills, minus 8 your core temperature, with westerly winds gusting to about 40 kilometers an hour, not overwhelming, just a bit breezy. It's going to feel more like minus 15. Now, as we move into tomorrow, we're still holding on to that westerly flow, maybe a bit more of a southwesterly flow, and this is because we are going to see a trough swing through southern Ontario. What this is going to do is, well, a couple of things. The first thing it's going to do is bring us some widespread scattered flurries and maybe a couple periods of intense, brief frontal squalls, but they won't last long. The timing, it's going to be ongoing throughout the day, on and off. The second thing it's going to do is reinforce that cold Arctic air. It's actually going to be a little bit colder as we move into tomorrow. -8 feeling like -16 at the warmest part of the day. So maybe you need a little more spring in your step, some light in your life, and some air purification. Here are 5 houseplants that will do just that. So great to have you here with us at the Weather Network on this Monday, March the 4th. I'm Michelle Mackey, and unfortunately, the cold weather, it is continuing as we enter the first week of March, and as we look ahead to March break, you'll see this in your local forecast. It's looking like that cold is hanging on, and it's not just for those of us in southern Ontario. We are feeling this right across the country. So let's break it down by the numbers, hour by hour. We are waking up to core temperatures around -10 for much of the GTA, even colder as we look to Barrie. But you've got to keep in mind, these are your core temperatures. When you factor in those wind chills, it is dangerously cold, feeling like the mid-teens. So as a result, the City of Toronto has issued an extreme cold weather alert, warning, I should say. What does that mean, though, and how is it different from Environment Canada's warning criteria? Rachel Schutzen breaks it down. -55, can you imagine? Okay, so by the way, this is Toronto's 24th extreme cold weather alert of the season. You think that's a lot, though? 2014, 2015, that season, we saw 39 of those alerts issued. We are looking at that cold weather sticking around for tomorrow. You'll note we do have some snowfall in the icons, not a lot, just a dusting, some scattered flurries issued throughout the day, and we could see some brief heavier bursts as this trough moves through. Not going to be blizzard kind of a day by any means. As we look at the future radar, you'll note that even this afternoon up towards Cottage Country, we are seeing some of those flurries, but it will become more widespread as we look to tomorrow. The other thing this trough is going to do, along with ushering in some flurries, it's going to keep those temperatures cold. It brings us a reinforcing shot of Arctic air that's looking to stick around for the remainder of the week. But into the weekend, it is looking like we'll see a brief warm up, but a Colorado low along with that. You'll find out more right now in your local forecast. Stay here. Snowy scenes over the weekend, cold weather holding on. I'm Michelle Mackey. So great to be with you here on the Weather Network on this Monday, March the 4th. However, not the greatest news. The 24th extreme cold warning has been issued by the City of Toronto. Now, I know 24 seems like a lot, but keep in mind the winter of 2014-2015, we had 39 of these warnings. But nonetheless, it is frigid this morning, feeling like -20 in Toronto. March break still a week away. The kids bundle them up before they head out. We're not seeing much reprieve into the afternoon as well. Still feeling like -15. The good news is we've got the sunshine, and you'll begin to notice as we move into March, with that change in the sun angle, begins to feel a little bit warmer on the skin, so we'll take it. So again, this afternoon as we take a look at the big picture, it is quite chilly. Some scattered flurries beginning up in Cottage Country, and that becomes more widespread into tomorrow. Not a lot of accumulation, but we're holding on to the cold weather. You probably find it hard to breathe, but did you know there's actually a medical condition for that?
Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Karkic. We've got Michelle Mackey with us today on The Brief, and Chris Murphy as well, as always. Lots to talk about. Let's give everyone the setup, though, here.
All right.
You can see on the radar that Atlantic Canada is getting hit very hard with a storm. We've got warnings all over the board here.
Nebraska, Kansas. So that's the May storms.
Right.
But down in Dixie Alley, they actually have 2 prime times. One in early spring, like March and April, and then again October, November. And these can be some very dangerous ones
Yes,
as
they're
well.
often the most deadly.
They can be. They can be rain wrapped. They can happen at night, whatever the case. But this one happened yesterday afternoon. So that's what it did stateside. Let's talk about now the impact for Atlantic Canada.
Well, we have to take you back to the weekend, right?
Yes.
Indeed, some freezing rain and likely by dawn changing rain for the Avalon Peninsula as well. So Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, this is a multi-precip type event. New Brunswick and PEI, primarily snow. So let's take a look.
That is a silver lining there, but Nova Scotia, there's been some school closures today already. PEI will get hit with this as well.
All right, well, we mentioned that there's going to be some rain with this. There's also going to be some ice pellets and some freezing rain, likely overlapping in a lot of areas.
Okay, thanks so much for tuning in to the Weather Network this morning. Here's where you can find us online.